Hey everyone, it's Brett from Hope to Prosper. I'm up here in San Juan Capistrano at the Lost Ramblas Trail, and I'm going to hit the trail and I will tell you what I got on my mind today. But basically, I'm going to tell you why I chose the 5% rule over the 4% rule. Alright, thanks for coming along, guys. So, why I chose the 5% withdrawal rate over 4%? The short answer is just that 4% wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to cover my living expenses plus my health insurance, and so it wasn't going to be enough for me. In fact, it was worse than not enough. I would have had to, at 4%, I would have had to save another $250,000, which would have taken me another 5 years. So, really, retirement wasn't a possibility at 4% withdrawal rate for me, and that was pretty discouraging, I can tell you. So I'm going to cover all of the retirement strategies, not just the one I chose, just for, a comprehensive, overview for everyone, because some people might not want to make the same choices I made. So let's start with a 4% rule. That's the gold standard, the common thing. You hear it covered in F.I.R.E a lot. A lot of the F.I.R.E people talk about, okay, once you have, 25 times your once you have saved up 25 times your living expenses, you're free. You're financially independent, even if you don't retire. And that's a great rule of thumb. It's super easy to calculate. It's conservative, and it works. The bad news is you have to save a lot of money at a 4% withdrawal rate to cover your living expenses. And so that's one of the problems with it. So the 4% rule was invented by Bill Bengen in the 1990s. I think it was 1994 or 96, something like that. And it's super conservative, and it's based on the worst case scenario. So the good news is it almost always works, and your retirement doesn't fail. The bad news is you may be leaving a lot of money on the table and not really enjoying your retirement to the fullest. So that's a big problem with the 4% rule for me. I would have had to have saved $3 million over $3 million just to replace my six-figure income. So that's a problem with it. What I discovered when I was doing research and running Monte Carlo simulations and all that is I discovered the Guyton-Klinger rule, or it's also called Guyton's guardrails. And so with the Guyton-Klinger rule, you can start with a higher percentage of withdrawal. So you could start with 5%, and that's what I chose. And depending on how your portfolio does, it can go up to 6.5% or 6.3%. It can also go down if the portfolio goes down. But just the difference between 4 and 5%, that was an extra $9,300 a year for me. And that almost exactly covers my health insurance. So that was huge. That was the difference between early retirement or waiting 5 more years and retiring at 63. And to be quite honest, 63 didn't seem like early retirement to me. 58 did. So I chose the 5% rule that allowed me to retire early, and it also allowed me to retire, fairly secure. I ran the Monte Carlo simulations. I used calculators, and it came out pretty good. And the amount that it allows me to cover my living expenses, just under roughly around $46,000 a year, is realistic for me to live on, whereas $38,000 a year was not realistic. So I'm very glad that I found the Guyton-Klinger rule. Basically how it works is you start out with the percentage, I'll say 5% for me, and then it has 3 different rules to kind of rebalance. There's the capital preservation rule, there's a prosperity rule, and there's a portfolio management rule. And so you use these 3 rules to rebalance. And so if the market does pretty well, you can adjust up. You have a prosperity rule. If the market goes down, you have a capital preservation rule. You might have to adjust down. You might have to take a haircut or live on less or find a little side money or something. But the great thing about it is it keeps you from going broke in retirement without just handcuffing you to 4% that never changes. And, over 30 years, any number that never changes, that's not realistic. So I think it's a more realistic and a flexible strategy, and that's why I chose it. I want to add some of my own withdrawal strategy points here that I think could be helpful to you. So first of all, change is constant, and I can pivot. I saw one of the retirement gurus, and he was talking about how you could just pivot. You could get a side job, you could take less, you could do all kinds of things, and not to stress over stuff. Just make changes as time goes on, and I think that's a great idea. I understand the sequence of loss risk, and for people who don't know, that means when your retirement fails, usually fails because in the first couple years the stock market goes down a lot, and you keep spending at the same rate, and that's called sequence of loss. And if you have a number of years in a row, it doesn't happen very often, but if you have a number of years in a row where the stock market goes down and you spend at the same rate, that's how you go broke. So I understand how that works, and if I see that, I'll pivot. I don't plan to just sit around, worrying about going broke in retirement. I plan to manage it proactively, and so I'm not going to worry about it. I plan to prosper in retirement. I plan to maybe get some side income, start a little side business, or do some side hustles, and do well in retirement. Not just sit around hoping figuring out how much money I can take and hoping I don't go broke. So I plan to prosper. And what I've found is that if I make it over the next 5 or 6 years to where I get Medicare and I get Social Security, I'm going to be on easy street. It's just the first couple years that are the risky. So that's when I plan to put in some effort and bring up some extra money. So that's my retirement and my withdrawal strategy for early retirement. I'm enjoying my early retirement, and I'm glad I've developed these strategies and these plans, and they give me a lot of confidence that going forward I'm going to have a fantastic retirement. Thank you guys so much for coming along. Hey everyone, about to wrap up this video. Ran smack dab into a no trespassing sign, a shiny new fence. Used to be able to sneak up there and hang out at the water tower and eat a granola bar, but no longer. So anyways, I'm going to call it here. I got some other hikes I'm going to go on, but this is the end of this trail. Before I wrap it up, I want to show you something. Right there, that's Dana Point Harbor. Right there, that's San Juan Capistrano. And then behind here, behind this water tower, there's a beautiful view of San Clemente. I wish I could show you that one from up in the sky. Anyways, so that's it for now. Just let me know if you have any questions about the 5% rule or my journey to retirement. I'm happy to elaborate on that for you. And I hope you all health, happiness, and prosperity. And we'll see you on the next video.